from online.
Nice, YouTube, huh?
So-
Nice, appreciate you, man. So do you believe in one God already?
Yes, sir.
All right, good, man. We there. All right, great. Do you believe there's only one God, or do you believe God is three?
There's, in my personal opinion,
Yeah.
I've seen the debate how I know it's confusing. I didn't understand it at first when
All right.
growing up
That is true.
until recently, trying to be more spiritual minded within the
Okay.
past year because of my health being in jeopardy.
Oh.
I gave up smoking, drinking. I don't do none of that no
Good,
more.
good, man. You're on your way to being a Muslim, right? See, like think about what you just said, right? You gave up smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
As Christians, most Christians drink.
Yeah.
Even in church, they tell you it's okay. But as Muslims, we believe drinking is evil.
Yeah.
Christians tell us Jesus drank. But you know it's evil, that's why you gave it up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Your compass morality is already aligned with Islam because you knew alcohol was evil and you gave it up. All right. So what else?
Okay. I don't know where to start now.
All right. So you believe in one God. Let's just start with
Yes.
there, right? Because I believe that's the most crucial thing. I believe in one God. All right. Do you believe that God sent prophets?
Yes.
Do you believe Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad were prophets sent by God? Peace be upon all of them. We love all of them.
Yes.
Ah, you're Muslim, bro. There we go. You got it. You're there. So you do believe Jesus is a prophet of God, right?
I believe.
You just said yes.
It's kind of hard to explain. It's just
Alright.
that's what I'm saying. It's where I'm at now. I didn't come prepared. I tried preparing at the last minute, which I should have been prepared more.
We're not debating,
I
right?
know,
It's just a
that's what I'm saying.
conversation.
So I kind of like
Matthew, you just tell me, do you believe Jesus is a prophet of God?
actually more than a prophet.
Okay. Well, but okay, so let's take it step by step, right? So do you believe he is a prophet?
In other words, no.
No. Okay. Do you believe in the Bible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here in the Bible, this is in John 6:14. When those men that had seen the signs that Jesus had did, so those true followers of Jesus who saw the miracles of Jesus, what did they say? They said, "This is truly the prophet who has come into this world." What did they call him?
Okay.
Go ahead. Take your time.
No, look at. Oh man, let me think.
I'm ready. Whatever you want me to look
Let me
at.
try to remember.
all right.
John 14.
Okay.
No, 12:28.
Oh man, you are good. John 12:28. Okay.
This is one of the translations that I have of.
What do you
of
use?
the
Which?
Quran.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I have
that's
this
nice.
one and I have
Man,
4 other ones.
You're already there. All right.
I even have the.
So
the-
12:28. If I'm looking at this correctly, I want to make sure. Father, glorify your name. Father, glory your name.
And you're reading from the King James, right?
Yeah, is that the one you want me to read from? or-
That's fine.
All right, cool. That's the most commonly used translation, right? I have every single one. I have the Jehovah's Witness one. I have NIV. I have ESV.
Because in the
So-
Jehovah's Witness, they didn't translate into English properly because in the book in Colossians they inserted the word other 4 times.
Ooh, yeah. You should go talk to them right there. Yeah. But anyway, all right. So this I'm reading 12:28. Father, glory your name.
Because right there he says your name, and then in
Yes.
course in several other places,
Okay.
like say John 14, verse 13 and 14.
Okay. John 14, 13 and 14. And whatever you ask in my name, and that I will do, the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it.
And
Okay?
right there he's saying Jesus saying in his name, right?
Right?
And then but in the other verse it said the Father's name.
Right. Well, I mean that doesn't say he's God. Right? Let me ask. So, for example, if I tell you, "Hey, glory be to our great leader," I'll just give you an example, right? Just Trump, right? Not that I support Trump, but I'm just saying, right? Like, let's, as an example, right? I'm sure he would love for people to say that, right? Glory be in the name of thy name, Trump, for example, right? And then I told you, if you ask in my name, if you go to Trump and you bring my name up, he will give you whatever you want. Ask in my name, like tell him I sent you. But I'm not saying I am Trump. I'm saying that my name holds precedence with Trump. Because, I mean, when you use very ambiguous words like that, right? It doesn't show Jesus saying, I am God. But there are very clear verses where Jesus clearly distincts himself from God. Right? If Jesus is God, would anybody be greater than God?
No.
Okay. In the same chapter and verse that you quoted, if you just go a little bit further, in chapter 14 from John 28, you have heard me say to you, I'm going away and coming back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice because I said, I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. So if the Father is greater than Jesus, and we agreed that nobody can be greater than God, how could Jesus be God?
How can I put it? It's like, for example, because I know in the Quran, Jesus don't say the words directly out of his mouth, but because the Quran says it, y'all believe it, that he's a Messiah.
He is a Messiah, a messenger from God, yes. But he's not God, right? He clearly says that in the Quran from his words that Allah quotes, right?
Okay, John 15:16.
Oh, but
okay,
where are we skipping, bro?
I'm trying
so what I'm saying is that in this verse, Jesus says, Father is greater than I. And me and you agreed nobody can be greater than God.
Right.
So how could Jesus be God?
Okay, from my understanding, the best way I could explain it is that it's, okay, we know that God can do anything he wants to, right?
Yes, well, except certain things that he can't do according to the Bible, like lie.
We both agree, okay.
Good. So there are things that God can't do. It's not because of inability. It's because it goes against his. Matthew, you there, bro? Go ahead. Like God can't not know, right? Because God's from his nature, he's all knowing, right?
He's omniscient.
Did Jesus know the hour?
That's something else that there's verses I know. It's just I can't remember quite exactly.
No, I mean, I'm just asking you a simple question. Did Jesus know the hour, right?
I believe that it wasn't made known for him to make it known.
Okay. So he didn't know the hour then. He said if it wasn't made known to him by who?
By the Father.
Okay, so the Father knew and Jesus didn't know. Father did not tell Jesus.
I would say, like in that sense, no. He didn't tell him, or he didn't know.
So he didn't know.
Yeah.
Can God not know? Or is God all knowing?
God is all knowing. But
that's
what I'm saying, because John 1:1,
right?
Apart from the Jehovah's Witnesses, when it says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God, that's in their translation.
That's their translation,
the world's translation.
Yeah, I've seen it.
In the in both Bibles, but in the literal Greek, in the Greek, it actually says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word.
And the Word was God.
In the Greek in the literal Greek, it says God was the Word.
I think it said the Word was God, but that's the same meaning. Yeah. Okay, I got you. But my question isn't John 1:1, right? My question is, me and you agreed God at all time knows everything from his nature is that he's all knowing. Mm-hmm. And me and you agreed that Jesus didn't know the hour. Let's talk about that before, and I will go to John 1:1, no problem. But so me and you agreed nobody can be greater than God, but the Bible clearly shows, according to Christian belief, not Jehovah's Witnesses, straight KJV, that Jesus says the Father is greater than I. Yeah. So that already makes it very clear that Jesus isn't the Father and he's not God, because nobody can be greater than God. And then me and you agreed that from the nature of God is that God's all-knowing. God knows everything. And we just saw from Mark 13:32 that Jesus says that no one knows the hour, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. And me and you agreed now that God had not informed Jesus of the hour, so he didn't know that. Can God be lower than the angels?
No.
Never, right? Now, in the Bible, I like to carry a Bible, even though I've memorized these verses, but I like to show people so they can be content in what I'm saying, right? This is in the book of Hebrews 2:9. We see Jesus who was made a little lower than the angels. So if Jesus was made by God lower than the angels, according to the Bible, how could he be God? When me and you agreed God could never be lower than the angels, ever.
Look at Hebrews chapter 1.
All right. Look at it.
From verses 8 through 12.
Okay. But to the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. Your specter of righteousness is the specter of your kingdom. O you have loved righteousness and hated lawlessness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companions. That perfectly proves that it's not Jesus isn't God, because he says, your God has anointed you. So whose Jesus is God?
He's referring to this Jesus as he's saying, your throne, O God.
Oh, no. See, again, this is the problem. You see, there's a comma, right? Which tells you that it is calling out. It's not saying, therefore, O God. There's a comma. O God is a reference being made here, because in the same verse later, like if I was speaking to you that God, O God, has blessed you. I'm not saying you're God, right? That's why there's a comma here to break. O God is a reference to what's being, the person who's being speaking here is calling out to God. That's why you see the commas. He's not saying your throne, O God. It says your throne, O God. And then he continues, is your throne is forever. How do we know that? Because right there it says, therefore God, your God, has anointed you. Who's God?
Continue with verse 10, 11,
All right.
12.
So I mean, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whose God is this?
Jesus.
So Jesus has a God. Does
That's
Jesus? Okay, let's go. You, Lord, in the beginning laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of your hands. They will perish, but you will remain, and they will all grow old like a garment, like a cloak. You will fold them up, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will not fail. Okay, but again, is this speaking to God
He's
or
quoting,
Jesus?
the author of the book is quoting from Psalms 102,
Okay,
verse 25 through 27.
excellent. So in Psalms, who were they speaking to?
The psalmist was talking to God.
Okay, excellent. Not to Jesus. Because in the time of Psalms, time of David, there was no Jesus. He wasn't even born yet. Hey, hold on, take it easy. So you got a great point. So this is quoting Psalms. In the time of David, in the time of Psalms, did they pray to Jesus or did they pray to the one God?
To the one God.
So this is not speaking to Jesus. This is quoting about the one God. And Jesus is being told that your God has anointed you.
Therefore, God, your God.
Yeah. So Jesus has a God that anointed him. Right?
Okay.
Right. So if Jesus, I mean, I'll show you more verses just to be very clear, where Jesus says, my God, repeatedly, right? So if Jesus has a God, how could he be God? Right? This is in Revelations 3:12. He who overcomes, meaning in the future, right? I will make him a pillar in the temple of
My God.
my God. So if Jesus is God, then it would be my temple.
Revelation 1, chapter 17, and verse 18.
We keep skipping, but you're not answering this here.
It's
right?
hard for me to explain it. That's why I'm saying.
I
That's why
feel
I'm
you,
quoting.
but does it not show that Jesus
Yeah.
has a God?
That's true. But
And
you
we
also
agreed that God can't have a God.
see,
So, I mean, like, what I'm saying is, I read the verses you asked
Yeah.
me to, no problem. And even those showed that Jesus was anointed by his God. But in the verses about Jesus not knowing the hour, we agreed that God knows everything. And you agreed Jesus didn't know. And that clearly proves he wasn't God. In the verses where,
not necessarily.
How?
Because there's other verses like in Colossians, it said the whole Godhead dwelt in bodily form.
but then that would be a contradiction, right? Because if
Not
God
necessarily,
didn't,
no. Because like
How
we,
can
hold on.
God- okay, go
we
ahead.
did establish that God can do anything he wanted to, right?
accept things that are against his honor and majesty, right?
Except,
Which we agreed.
Other than
like-
lying, yes.
Oh, no, I mean, lying is one example.
Yeah.
Can God rape women, right?
No.
No, why not? Because it's against
it's
his
in his
honor and
nature.
glory.
Yeah.
Can God not know? Not know, because God by nature knows everything. We agreed to that already.
Yeah.
So if Jesus didn't know, then by the nature of what it means to be God, he cannot be God.
Now,
Right?
that's okay.
Right?
When
No, I just want to. I don't want to just keep jumping. Right? Do
Yeah.
we agree on that?
repeat it one more time. I'm sorry.
God is all-knowing by his nature.
By his nature.
Agreed? So as we agreed, God cannot do something that would be against his nature, like lying or raping or stealing or whatever, right?
Right.
So if we agreed that from the nature of God that he's all-knowing, and we agreed that Jesus was not informed of the hour by God, then Jesus cannot be God by the definition of the nature of God. We agree?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, good. So now that we see that Jesus had a God and he wasn't God, would we agree that he was still a prophet of God?
I still would say no because it's okay.
Okay.
It kind of is back to when I had said God could do anything he wants to.
Okay. So you said he's not a prophet, but let me just read you these verses to understand. This is in Matthew 21:11. So the multitudes that saw Jesus doing his miracles, they said, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee."
Okay.
So what did they call him?
They call him a prophet.
Okay. Now, if we look at Jesus' own words according to the Bible, and this is in Luke, red line, 13:32. Okay? And 33. 13:33. Nevertheless, I must journey today, tomorrow, and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet should perish outside of Jerusalem. So according to the Christian Bible, not Jehovah's Witnesses, any of that, red line, words of Jesus, what did he call himself?
Prophet.
And his followers called him what? A prophet, right? I mean, again, like I said, I'd be more than happy to show you many more verses.
Mark 12.
Okay, no problem. Let's go to Mark 12. Mark 12. Where are we
Verses
at?
1 through 10.
Okay. Then he began to speak to them in parables. This is a parable, okay? A man planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it, dug a place for the wine vat, and built a tower. And he leased it to a winedress. Okay, I'm gonna keep
Oh
going.
no, Mark. Oh yeah, you are reading from. Okay, I've seen it different. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay. And went into a far country. Now at the vintage time, he sent a servant to the windresser.
Vine dresser.
Wine dresser? That's a V, not a W.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wind dresser, right? So I don't make confusing V's and W's. That he might receive some of the fruit from the vineyard, from the wind dressers. And they took him and beat him and sent him away empty-handed. I'm going to keep going.
I'm wondering if I marked it down, put it down wrong because
Oh,
it
okay,
don't
yeah, 'cause
sound.
that
It sound
doesn't-
different from what I was reading,
Right,
reading
yeah.
earlier.
That's why I like to have the book with me. We always can get to it, right? Now, if we look at Jesus being a prophet, I've shown you all these verses, but I can show you a couple more if you like,
Okay.
just so we can at least get that as solid out of the way, right? So this is a very beautiful verse. John 9:17. And they said to the blind man again, "What do you say about him? Because he opened your eyes." So this is the blind man that saw the miracle of Jesus. What did he who saw that miracle, the true followers of Jesus, say? He said, he is a
Prophet.
prophet. So now, red line, Jesus is saying he's a prophet. Repeatedly, his followers are saying he's a prophet. I think he's a prophet. Right? And me and you agreed that God is by nature all-knowing. And me and you agreed that Jesus didn't know the hour. Me and you agreed God by nature doesn't have a God. And me and you agreed Jesus calls out to my God. Even the verse you quoted to me shows to Jesus that your God anointed you. Right? I mean, can God be a servant of God? We already agreed that he couldn't be lower than angels, right?
Right.
Okay, and we already saw that Jesus was made lower than angels, right?
Right.
Let me read that again. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, good. Now, can God be a servant?
No.
All right. But Jesus is called a servant of God. Right? Would you agree?
Okay.
Yeah. In Acts 3:13, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So if Jesus is a servant of God, me and you agreed he can't be God, right? Come on, we agreed on this.
Okay.
All right. So Jesus is a prophet. We've proven that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not God, as he's a servant of God. He was made lower than the angels. He says, my God. He prays to God. But we do believe Jesus was a righteous servant, a good example, born miraculously. We agree. We believe there's only one God, that none should be worshipped except one true God, that sent Jesus, as Jesus says that he was sent by that one true God, right?
Right.
So, this is the Muslim belief, right? I mean, I'll show you this real quick too. This is in Luke 18:19. So Jesus said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good but the one that is God.
Mm-hmm.
So if Jesus is God, why would he object to somebody saying that he's good? And why would he say nobody is good but the one that is God?
Yeah.
Why didn't he say I am?
He say in John 8:58, he does say before Abraham was, I am.
Exactly. Okay, good. So what is the words there? Ego imai. I am. Right? But he doesn't say I am God. Right? The blind man in the same Bible, in the same chapter, John,
Yeah.
when they're saying about the blind man, he uses the exact same words. He says, ego imai, I am. Does that mean he's God? I mean, I believe Jesus was made a prophet before Abraham existed. I believe all the prophets were given prophethood before that. God decreed everything. But he never says, I am God.
He doesn't necessarily have to say those exact words for it to be true. It's just like we established already earlier, that even though in the Quran Jesus say out of his own mouth that I am the messenger, but yet it says that he's the messenger,
Jesus says, I am a messenger.
not out of his own words in the Quran.
I mean, I'll show it to you. Give me
out that I gotta see.
Yeah, can you hold on real quick. So 61 verse 6, and remember when Jesus the son of Mary said, O children of Israel, I am truly God's messenger to you. So he calls himself by his own words the messenger of God.
He doesn't say I'm the Messiah.
No, messenger. We said messenger,
He
right?
said Messiah, and that's when he said he's going to get the Quran and look it
No,
up.
I said that he clearly says, I am the messenger of God, right? Is a messenger not a Messiah?
That, like I said, he don't say I'm the Messiah out of his own mouth.
But does he say he's a messenger?
I didn't say nothing about the messenger.
Okay.
Be true. It's just like we established already earlier, that even though in the Quran Jesus say out of his own mouth that I am the messenger, but yet it says that he's the messenger,
Jesus says, I am a messenger.
not out of his own words in the Quran.
I mean, I'll show it to you.
I didn't say nothing about the messenger.
Okay, but do you believe he's a messenger of God?
Like, still be more than a messenger.
But what's more than a messenger?
I know.
Is he God or not?
I still believe he is.
So if we agreed that from the nature of God that he's all-knowing, and we agreed that Jesus was not informed of the hour by God, then Jesus cannot be God by the definition of the nature of God. We agree?
Okay, yes.
Okay, good.
I know.
Is he God or not?
I still believe he is.
But we just went through how God by
There's still
nature.
more verses that I want to show you too.
Okay, but he did call himself a messenger of God, right? By his own
Yeah,
words. Okay.
in the Quran.
Yes, in the Quran. Okay. Now, what verses would you like to show me?
Okay. Let me think. There's. All right. Revelation 1:17 and 18.
Okay.
Is where he calls himself the Almighty, the beginning and the end.
Let's look at it. Alpha and Omega is not a word necessarily for God, because it's the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. But I'll read it for you because
Because even
You mentioned it.
Even
No
in
problem.
Isaiah and
Revelations what?
chapter 1, verse 17 and 18.
Okay. Chapter 1, verses
17 and 18.
17 and 18. Okay. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. But he said, he laid his right hand on me, saying to me, "Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. I am he who lives and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen." And so
And then in verse 8 as well.
in verse 8, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Now, what is Alpha and Omega?
Towards the end of the verse, he says he's the Almighty. In verse 8.
Yeah, so
'Cause he's
as the Lord who
he's
is and
he's
who
saying
has
this-
and who has come.
The
Okay.
Almighty. He's
Okay.
saying the same titles that belongs to God in the Old Testament as in the book of Isaiah as well,
Okay,
where God says that he's the first and the last, the beginning and the end.
okay.
Isaiah,
Hold on, let's get to this, right? When we look at Alpha and Omega, what does it mean, Alpha and Omega, by itself? Like can I say this guy is the Alpha and Omega of basketball?
no, because,
Yes, you can. Because in Greek, Alpha and Omega is the first and last letters.
yeah.
Okay? So you see, for example, if we were to say, if you read this book, this is the Alpha and Omega of biology.
Okay, I see what you mean. I understand.
Right.
It was kind of hard for me to.
All right, I got you, right? So Alpha and Omega is not unique to God. What is it talking about? It is talking about something that is the beginning of and the end, the complete on a subject or a matter or a person. For example, in Greek literature, you will find Alpha and Omega being referenced for many things. Because in Greek, I'll give you an easy example in English, right? If I say, man, you want to study psychology, this book is the A to Z of it, right? That's the Alpha to Omega, the first letter to the last letter. It doesn't mean this is God. Now, God can be called the Alpha and Omega as well, right? But that doesn't mean other than God cannot be called Alpha and Omega. Just like when you said ego imai, I am. Yes, God refers to himself as I am. But the blind man also refers to himself as I am, because the context of what's being discussed, right? When Jesus is going to be stoned by the Pharisees, doesn't he tell them that, why do you stone me? That I am the one that was sent by God. He doesn't say I am God, right? So what we're doing is you're taking very clear verses that show that Jesus could not be God, which we agreed to. Like, he is not all-knowing, he is lower than, he was made lower than the angels, and then we're ignoring all of that, even though we agreed. And then you're going to ambiguous verses that can be used for God or other than God, like ego imai and logos, for example, is used for the commandments of God that are spread by the prophet, not God himself. And just like that, Alpha and Omega is used for other than God. But if we're talking about who is the Messiah, then for him to say ego imai, I am, makes sense. If we're talking about Jesus and he says, the one who's been sent to you, when you talk about that, I am the A to Z of it, that makes perfect sense. But even you could say that today. I could tell you, I mean, for example, man, do you know about baseball in Houston? And you could say, I'm the Alpha and Omega of baseball in Houston. I know from front to back. But that doesn't mean you're God. But Jesus is clearly saying, my God. He's saying that I take honor from the only true God. Does God take honor from another God? Come on, bro. These are very clear. Like, this is explicit.
See,
Like, we're going to the ambiguous and leaving the explicit, right? Can Jesus do anything on his own without the Father?
He does what he sees, what the Father does.
So God cannot do something on his own? You know it makes sense, bro. Come on. Think about it this way. Believe in one God. Believe that Jesus was a prophet of God, as the Bible continuously says. That believe that Jesus was doing the commandments of that one God, as Jesus continuously says. Believe that Jesus was a miraculous birth, an amazing prophet, a Messiah of God, a messenger of God, somebody who brought a message from God that we love and respect. But we worship that one God that Jesus worshiped. Doesn't that make sense?
I understand everything.
Who did Jesus pray to?
He prayed to the Father.
So why don't you?
Yeah, I knew I should have came more prepared.